I still remember the exact moment it happened. Not because anything dramatic took place, but because of how quiet it was. She looked at me, paused for a second, and asked a question so simple. It felt almost pointless. And yet, I didn't have an answer. I used to think I had things figured out. Not everything, of course, but enough. I had a stable job, a routine that worked, and a clear sense of what I was supposed to be doing next. Wake up early, check emails, rush through traffic, sit in meetings, come home exhausted, scroll on my phone, sleep, repeat. It wasn't exciting, but it felt responsible. I remember telling myself that this is what adulthood looks like, that consistency matters more than passion, that sacrifice now leads to something better later. And honestly, I believed it. Most days I didn't question it. I didn't feel unhappy exactly. I just felt neutral, like I was moving forward, but without really thinking where I was going. Looking back, I think I avoided thinking too deeply. It was easier that way. I met her on a random Tuesday evening. It wasn't planned. I had stopped by a small cafe near my office, one of those quiet places people go to work or sit alone with their thoughts. I usually avoided places like that. Too quiet, too much space to think. But that day I was early for something, so I went in. She was already there, sitting at a corner table with a notebook. Not typing, not on her phone, just writing. That caught my attention. I don't know why, but it felt unusual, almost out of place. I ordered my coffee and sat nearby, pretending to check emails, but occasionally glancing over. She seemed focused, calm, not rushed, not distracted. At one point, she looked up and noticed me looking. I expected that awkward moment where both people immediately look away, but she didn't. She smiled slightly, not in a forced way, just acknowledging. So I nodded. That's how it started. We ended up talking. Nothing special at first, just small talk. She asked what I did. I gave my usual answer, the one I'd repeated 100 times. I work in operations. It's busy, but good. She nodded like she understood, but didn't say anything right away. Then she asked, "Do you like it?" It was such a normal question, but I hesitated. I mean, yeah, it's stable. Even as I said it, something about my answer felt incomplete. She didn't challenge me, just wrote something in her notebook, then looked back up. "What do you usually think about during the day?" That one caught me off guard. "No one's ever asked me that," I said, half laughing. She smiled. "That's usually the more honest answer than what people do." I paused, trying to think. I guess deadlines, tasks, what I need to finish next. She tilted her head slightly. "Only that?" I thought about it. And for a second, I realized, yeah, mostly that. That's when something shifted, very subtly. It wasn't uncomfortable yet, just unfamiliar. The conversation moved on. We talked about random things, music, routines, habits. She didn't say much about herself, but she asked questions that made me pause before answering. Not hard questions, just precise ones. At one point, I asked her what she was writing. She said, "Just observations." About what? People, mostly how they think they're living versus how they actually are. I laughed a little. "That sounds deep." "It's not," she said calmly. "It's usually very simple." Then came the question. It didn't feel important when she asked it. There was no buildup. She just looked at me and said, "If nothing changed in your life for the next 5 years, would you be okay with that?" I remember blinking, like my brain needed a second to process it. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Exactly what I said," she replied. "Same routine, same thoughts, same pace, same direction. 5 years. I leaned back slightly. My first instinct was to say yes, because on paper, everything was fine. But something stopped me. I tried to imagine it. Really imagine it. Waking up the same way, thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same level of neutral. No major problems, but no real change either. And suddenly, that image felt heavier than I expected. "I don't know," I said, honestly. She nodded, like that was the answer she expected. Most people, I realized later, would have tried to reassure me or explain something. She didn't. She just let the silence sit there. After that, the conversation drifted. Eventually, we both got up to leave. At the door, she said, "Most people don't notice they're repeating their lives, not because they're okay with it, but because they never stop to ask." I nodded, but I didn't fully respond, because I was still thinking about the question. That night, I couldn't shake it. I tried distracting myself, scrolling, watching videos, but it kept coming back. If nothing changed, would you be okay? At first, I tried to answer logically. My job is stable, I'm progressing slowly, that's good. But then another thought came in, quieter. Am I actually progressing or just maintaining? I remember lying in bed staring at the ceiling, realizing something uncomfortable. I had been making decisions based on what felt safe, not what felt meaningful, and I hadn't questioned it in years. Over the next few days, small things started to stand out. The way I rushed through conversations, the way I checked my phone without thinking, the way I kept postponing things I said I might do someday. None of it was dramatic, but together it painted a picture I hadn't noticed before. I wasn't stuck, but I also wasn't choosing. I was just continuing. The real turning point didn't come all at once. It came in small decisions, saying no to things I didn't actually care about, spending time thinking instead of constantly distracting myself, asking myself simple questions I had avoided. Why am I doing this? Would I choose this again? What am I actually moving towards? Some answers were uncomfortable. Some were unclear. But for the first time in a long time, I felt aware. Nothing in my life changed overnight. Same job, same routine for a while, but my perception shifted. And that changed everything. Because once you start noticing your own patterns, it's hard to go back to ignoring them. I started making small adjustments, not drastic ones, just intentional ones. And slowly, my days felt different. Not because they were busier or more exciting, but because they felt chosen. I never saw her again. Sometimes I wonder if she knew what she was doing, if she realized how that one question would stay with me. Or maybe she asked it to everyone. Maybe that was her observation. What I've learned since then is this. Most of us don't need a big event to change our lives. We just need a moment of honesty, a moment where we stop and actually look at what we're doing, without distractions, without justifications. Because the truth is, routines aren't dangerous. Unquestioned routines are. Now, every once in a while, I still ask myself the same question. If nothing changed, would I be okay? And the answer isn't always perfect, but at least now, it's honest. And maybe that's the real shift. Not having everything figured out, but finally paying attention.